العلم أشراف مطلوب وطالبه لله أكرام من يمشي على قدم. العلم نور مبين يستضيء به أهل السعادات والجهال في الظلم.
So that is with regards to zihar. The next chapter, al-li'an. Al-li'an. The Shaykh says, rahimahullah, وَأَمَّا اللِّعَانُ, as for li'an, لعنة, obviously, الضغط من رحمة الله سبحانه وتعالى. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان. يعني الشيطان. The shaitan is distance from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لكن, the li'an in the istilah. طيب. The li'an in the istilah, the ta'rif that the Shaykh has mentioned now, is a definition that refers to the thamara, or what happens by way of al-li'an, when a man accuses his wife of adultery or so. Like, there's a ta'rif that the scholars usually say, which is, you might want to write it down, that li'an is shahadatun mu'akkadatun, testimonies that have been affirmed and mentioned over and over again. Bi-aymanin, with oaths. Min az-zawjaini, from the two zawj and the zawja, the wife and the husband. And also maqrunatun, it has, well, you can also say maqrunatan. Lakin maqrunatun bil-la'ni wal-ghadabi. Maqrunatun, which is said with bil-la'n, with the curse, in the curse of Allah Jalla wa Ala being upon that person, wal-ghadabi, and the anger of Allah Jalla wa Ala being upon that person. قائمة مقام حد القذف في جانبه. With regards to him, the man, it prevents him from getting lashed. ومقام حد الزنا في جانبها. And as for her, it protects her from what? From being punished according to the rajm, or the had, or the punishment of zina for a person who is married. So it is words, ashhadu anna kada kada kada, 4 times, as we shall see the description, and it is from the husband and the wife, and the benefit of it is that it prevents him from getting lashed because he has accused someone, and it prevents her from getting lashed for zina. وَأَمَّا اللِّعَانُ, the Shaykh says, فَإِذَا رَمَى الرَّجُلُ زَوْجَتَهُ, if a man accuses his wife بالزنا والعياذ بالله, of committing fornication, فعليه, upon him, حد القذف, upon him is the punishment of qadf, whereby he is to be lashed 80 jalda, 80 times. That is the asl. That is the asl. Due to the verse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ يَرْمُونَ الْمُحْصَنَاتِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَأْتُوا بِأَرْبَعَةِ شُهَدَاءَ فَاجْلِدُوهُمْ 80 jalda. Those that accuse the believing women of the muhsanat, the chaste women, of committing this sort of act, and they don't have 4 witnesses, فَاجْلِدُوهُمْ 80 jalda. طيب. Lakin it doesn't say the husband. So where's the mahalu shahid in this? Whomsoever, those that accuse, وَالَّذِينَ يَرْمُونَ الْمُحْصَنَاتِ, that accuse the Muslim believing chaste women, ثُمَّ لَمْ يَأْتُوا, and they don't have 4 wives, 4 witnesses, فَاجْلِدُوهُمْ, lash them 80 jalda, 80 times. Why does the Shaykh mention this? That's her wife, that's his wife. Where does the husband come into it? Ahsant. وَالَّذِينَ, we're going to see inshallah in Usul al-Fiqh that وَالَّذِينَ is from the Alfaz al-Umum, general. So this refers to anyone, whomsoever does it. So technically the man would have also come under that. The husband also comes under that. Also comes under that. However, he is saved with li'an. He comes out of the general ruling by virtue of something which is called li'an. And that is what we're studying now. Right. So the Shaykh says, rahimahullah, the asl is, wherever woman you accuse of this, wherever Muslim you accuse of this, it is called qadf. You've fallen into qadf and you get lashed for that because you're lying about someone, insulting someone, especially if this fahish. إلا أن يقيم, unless أن يقيم, that he has al-bayyinah, proof, and that proof is what? أربعة شهود عدول. He has 4 witnesses, 4 male witnesses that are udul, that are just, not people that are known for fisq, not people that are known as evil people. طيب. And the adl is the person whose good deeds outweigh their bad deeds. Al-adl doesn't mean the person that doesn't fall into mistake, because Bani Adam, كل بني آدم خطاء, every son of Adam sins, لكن falls into mistake. لكن what is meant is those whose khayr, whose good outweighs their bad. فيقام, so he has to have 4 witnesses. Is that understood? فيقام عليها الحد. If he brings 4 witnesses, يقام عليها حد, then the had, the punishment, the capital punishment is applied. Meaning, she is what? Obviously, rajm, stoned to death, if she's a person that has been through marriage. If she's a person who has been through marriage. Like, how can she be through marriage if she's already married? He's his wife, that's his wife, Aslan. Yeah, he might have just done the aqd. He might have just done the aqd. So if he's just done the aqd, then technically she just gets slashed. Lakin if she's obviously his wife and so on, she gets rajm. أو يلاعن فيسقط عنه الحد أو يسقط عنه حد القذف. Or what they can do is to save both of them, that they can do li'an, where they go to the court, we're going to see in a minute, they go to the judge and they say the words that we're going to see in the matan, inshallah. So, first and foremost, if a man accuses his wife of zina, that is, the general ruling is that it is muharram. Lakin, his ruling is that he is to be lashed. However, he can be saved with one of 2 things. One of 3 things technically. Either she admits, she acknowledges, yes, she admits. Or he gets 4 witnesses. Or they do mula'ana, which is the bab that we're studying now. However, with the witnesses, they need to see the private parts entering upon one another, entering into one another. Just like, you know, the what's that thing called? The kuhl. The thing that it goes into, exactly like that, as it goes into that. So that person, or these 4 witnesses, have to see the private parts entering into one another like that. That means what? It's not enough to say that he was in the room, that they were in a room together or on the bed together. That is not taken into consideration. Shaykh al-Islam says, rahimahullah, that was in his time, 728 he died. Up until now, from the time of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, up until now, meaning his era, it has not been established, or the had, or the punishment has not been established through that method. Why? Because it's almost what? Impossible. So if anyone is actually caught in that method, then they deserve to be punished. Like, it is almost impossible. I would say it's impossible, but it is found in the Quran of Allah. So if it does happen, leave a possibility of if, however small it is. Like, it has never taken place. And even during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, anytime he's ever done the had, it is anyone that has acknowledged and admitted. So when Ma'iz came to him, he said to the Prophet ﷺ what he said. He said, do the had, I've committed this. The Prophet turned away from him. And he came to him on the other side. Then he turned away from him. And then he came to him on the other side. And he turned away from him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he said, is he drunk? Is he crazy? Is he so on and so forth? All of that so that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam doesn't do this capital punishment, the had. However, any time that it happened in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was only due to what? A person acknowledging. A person acknowledging. Even if one person acknowledges it and the other one doesn't acknowledge it, because obviously it takes 2 to tango, it takes 2. If one of them acknowledges it and the other one doesn't acknowledge it, then the punishment is carried out on the one that acknowledged it, but the other one is not carried upon. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or in a hadith, There was the hadith Asif, a young man who was a servant for a certain family. He was working for a certain family. He had fornication with that woman. Billah. She was a married woman, and everyone acknowledged it. And the father said, "Okay, I'm going to pay you a certain amount of money." Lakin they came to the Prophet ﷺ for the correct judgment. Then the Prophet ﷺ commanded one of the companions to go and ask her. To go and ask her. If she acknowledges, then do the had. If she doesn't, then leave her alone. So the Prophet ﷺ did not say, yeah, since you done this and it was her you done it with, then we're going to do the had on both of them. So that acknowledging has to come from the person himself. Right, what about CCTV? Would you think that it should be taken into consideration or not? Clear CCTV, where you know it can't be messed about with. It can't be tampered with. We're not talking about photos, because photos can be tampered with easily. Like in CCTV. Huh? Oh, okay, deepfake. So it's not permissible, you're saying?
You mentioned
It's not been tampered with.
You have 5 witnesses that watch the CCTV and use it as a tool.
5? We only need 4. All 4 look at the camera. Oh. Hmm.
I would say now because they have to kind of be there. While it's happening, it has to be in the time. So CCTV could be like recorded. It could be like a day or a week.
Could be alive.
It could be like 10 years later. Sort of footage.
Okay. What's the difference between so you're saying if it is immediately, then it takes
live footage. Live in CCTV, not recorded.
Live or recorded, yeah. If it is live, we know they're in the next room because we put cameras there.
You should use like calculation where cases used to be something visibly seen with the eyes.
Okay.
Like in a telescope.
Not
telescope. With the eye.
No, like in terms of
Does it depend on what intention? Okay, let's say they put it there on purpose to catch them out. What if it was just happened to be there? Okay. Video evidence doesn't count. The reason why it doesn't count, because anything can happen. However much we acknowledge that it's not been tampered with, there is still a possibility that it has been tampered with. For example, one of those witnesses can actually play a video where it's not actually the actual video. It's not CCTV. He can play a video. Okay? So because of that doubt and that possibility, there's a qa'idah that is al-hudud tudra'u bil-shubuhat. We're going to see that in Kitab al-Hudud, inshallah. Al-hudud tudra'u bil-shubuhat. And that means that the hudud are left alone or excused if there's a doubt. If there's a doubt. So video evidence doesn't take place. طيب. So the Shaykh says, rahimahullah, there's three ways that when a person accuses his wife of that, there are 3 ways that a person can either get away with it. Or there are 3 ways. The first is that she acknowledges it. The second is that he has witnesses. And again, those witnesses, they have to agree on the place, the action, and the time. And the person. So let's say, for example, he says, I saw Ali on top of this XYZ and so on, we saw everything. Another one says, yeah, 2 of them say Ali, 2 of them say Muhammad. La, khata. That is incorrect. That's their testimony differs. Or if one says it was last weekend and another one says it was yesterday. Well, last week was 4 days ago. That is also incorrect. Or one of them says, Na'am, we were in West London, and the other one says, Na'am, or 2 of them say we were in West London, 2 of them says it was in East London. So their shahada, in this sense, it differs. So their testimony in terms of the action, or he says, La, 3 of them say we saw everything going into one another. Lakin, the 4th one says, I just saw movement. That shahada is not taken into consideration. So what happens is they get lashed because their testimony is not complete. That is the second way. The third is ayula'in. And that is the bab that we're studying, that he does the li'an. The li'an. طيب. طيب. The Shaykh says رحمه الله وصفة اللعان, and the way of li'an is على ما ذكر الله سبحانه وتعالى في سورة النور, the way that Allah جل وعلا has mentioned in سورة النور. طيب إنه لمن الصادقين. طيب والذين يرمون أزواجهم ولم يكن لهم شهداء, those that accuse their wives and they don't have witnesses إلا أنفسهم فشهادة أحدهم, then the shahada of one of them, meaning he has to bear witness, شهادة أحدهم أربع شهادات بالله, then he says 4 times, he says أشهد بالله, I bear witness that I'll to make testimony upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, إني لمن الصادقين, that I am from the truthful, فيما رميتها به من الزنا, I am truthful in that which I accused her of zina, or I have seen her committing zina, and I am truthful. طيب. Then Allah Jalla wa Ala says إنه لمن الصادقين والخامسة أن لعنة الله عليها, والخامسة, and the 5th one, أن لعنة الله عليه, that the curse of Allah Jalla wa Ala is upon him, إن كان من الكاذبين, if he's from the liars, if he's from the liars, may the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon him. And that is a severe punishment. A person lying, saying that, taking witness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making Allah Jalla wa Ala, or testimony in Allah Jalla wa Ala, saying this evil deed, lakin he's lying, then the curse of Allah Jalla wa Ala will be upon him. طيب. And then Allah Jalla wa Ala says وَيَدْرَأُ, so that's with regards to the man. He says it 4 times, أشهد أشهد أشهد, I bear witness that I am from the truthful in what I've accused her with, 4 times. And then on the 5th one he says إن لعنة الله عليه إن كان من الكاذبين, and the curse of Allah be upon him is from the lie. Then Allah Jalla wa Ala says وَيَدْرَأُ عَنَّ الْعَذَابَ, and that which prevents her from the punishment of rajm, of punishment, أن تشهد أربع شهادات بالله, that she bear witnesses 4 times. إنه لمن الكاذبين, that he's from the liar. So she says أشهد بالله إنه لمن الكاذبين فيما رماني به من الزنا, I bear witness that he is lying in that which he accused me of with regards to the zina. والخامسة, and in the 5th one, أن غضب الله عليها إن كان من الصادقين, and the 5th one she says that may the anger of Allah Jalla wa Ala be upon her, إن كان من الصادقين, if he's from the truthful. So that is the way that it is done. Also, it has to be done in front of a qadi. It has to be done in front of a judge. And some of the fuqaha, obviously the kitab is mukhtasar, lakin, or some ways, lakin, the scholars, they mention that even on the 5th go, just before it says the 5th one, and the curse of Allah be upon him, and with regards to her, the anger of Allah, someone has to hold their mouth and say, ittaqillah, فإنها موجبة, fear Allah, for verily it becomes binding. Becomes binding. So someone has to do that, they say. Also, some of the fuqaha, they say that they have to be sitting down and so on and so forth. But that's obviously in the books that are longer. So that is the way that the li'an is done. That is the way that the li'an is done. طيب. Which is worse, the curse of Allah or the anger of Allah? The curse of Allah. طيب. Everyone says that? The anger? Why the anger?
Based off of the actual testing that it's in as well. She's first of all accusing him of lying, and she's also lying about not committing it. So if those 2 things are coinciding, it's worse. The anger to be upon him, whereas he's only lying about the statement.
He's lying about the action and he's lying with the curse. The same thing.
But the definition of lying is so I think it's kind of the same.
Okay, so you're saying that because the definition is that the person's distance from the mercy of Allah. Jayed. Okay, so the person that is cursed is in the Jahannam for eternity, you're saying. Like in the one that is the anger of Allah is upon, he can be forgiven. Say that again. So you can do things to get out of the anger of Allah, but with regards to the curse of Allah, it is like excellent. You're cursed in every way, basically. Okay. طيب. طيب. لا اسمعوا الغضب is worse. غضب is worse. Why? Because when he's saying wallahi she committed this act, he can genuinely think she did. He can genuinely think that she did. For example, if he sees them wal-'iyadu billah, on a bed and there's movement in the bed and so on and so forth, and there's clothes on the floor, there's a strong possibility that he's going to believe that. And a man in his natural state, seeing his wife in that state, wal-'iyadu billah, naturally he's going to think, he's going to put two and two together and says, khalas. So with regards to him, there's no way, unless he's obviously witnessed it, there's no way of him actually knowing 100%. However, with regards to her, she knows 100%. She knows whether he's lying or she knows whether he's telling the truth. From her angle, it's a reality, it's a fact. That's why the qadab of Allah Jalla wa Ala is worse. And her punishment is worse. And she has fallen into kitmanul ilm, hiding knowledge. Just like the Jews. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ. The Jews, what were they punished for? Hiding the knowledge. And they're the ones that earned Allah's anger. So she, with regards to woman, the yaqeen is with her. She knows. So when he says, when he accuses her of something, she's got two ways to go about it. Either, if it is true, she can acknowledge it. Sah? In which case she will be punished. Or she can say, La wallah, it's kadhib. That is if he's lying. Or if she knows it is not true. Right? Or she knows it is not true. Meaning intercourse did not actually take place. Other things might have taken place, but she knows intercourse didn't take place. So she can do al-mula'ana aydan. She can say, Wallahi, may the curse of Allah, may the anger of Allah be upon me if I am lying. Technically, she isn't lying, is she? Because there was no fornication in this case, and she knows she's telling the truth. However, if it is reality that she did commit it, not only did she not acknowledge it, like she took Allah as a witness and lied in a court of law, for example, and done mula'ana and cursed herself and said, may the curse of Allah be upon me. Although she knows the reality. Does that kind of explain it? Why ghadab is worse than la'an? Allah yabarak fikum. La'an is not permanent. La'an is not permanent. I didn't go upon that. The brothers that mentioned that, I didn't mention. Yeah, I didn't pick them up on that because my concern was which is worse, ghadab or la. Like la'an is not permanent. It is a major sin, like it's not permanent. Mathalan, the sharib al-khamr, the one that drinks alcohol, sells it and passes it on, he's cursed. The woman that resembles men and the man that resembles women, cursed. Like it doesn't take them outside of the fold of Islam, so it doesn't mean. No. ويقول في الخامس نعم. Then the Shaykh says رحمه الله تعالى رحمة واسعة فإذا تم اللعان, if li'an is complete. How is li'an complete? In front of the mahkamah, he says 4 witnesses, he doesn't have 4 witnesses, like, and he says it, I bear witness that I saw her do this 4 times, and he says on the 5th word go that may the anger of Allah be upon me, and so on. If it's done from his side and from her side as well, where she also takes testimony 4 goes, and on the 5th one says may the anger of Allah be upon me. If it is complete, what are the athar or the ahkam that are relative to li'an? The Shaykh says, فَإِذَا تَمَّ اللِّعَانُ, if li'an is complete, سَقَطَ عَنْهُ الْحَدْ. So right there, we're number 1. سَقَطَ عَنْهُ الْحَدْ. سَقَطَ عَنْهُ حَدُّ الْغَضْفِ. The had of accusing another Muslim of fornicating that you've accused him of, you won't be lashed. Meaning the 80 lashes, he is spared from that because of the li'an. Number 2, وَانْدَرَأَ عَنْهَا الْعَذَابِ. The same goes for her. She is spared the punishment. She's not, the punishment is taken away from her. She's not punished. Had, she doesn't get had. Because obviously if she did, then rajm. Actually, there's no punishment upon her. No punishment upon him for accusing another Muslim. And for her, there's no punishment upon her because of the mula'ana. وَحَصَّلَتِ الْفُرْقَةُ بَيْنَهُمَا. And they have to be separated. وَالتَّحْرِيمُ الْمُؤَبَّدِ. And they are separated forever. وحصلت. Number 3, there's funqa between them, they are separated. طيب. And when they are separated, that separation is forever. They can never go back to one another. They can never go back to one another. And that happened during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. طيب. And then the last thing that the Shaykh says, وانتفى الولد إذا ذكر في اللعان. شوف. وانتفى الولد, wherever the Shaykh says that, وانتفى الولد, and the child is also taken out of the equation, meaning he's negated from the father, from the man that is doing the mula'ana. إذا ذكر في اللعان, underline إذا ذكر في اللعان, if he's mentioned in the li'an. So during the li'an, when this is taking place, he also takes a testimony. He says, verily this is not my child. Ashhadu, I bear witness that this is not my child. He is not my child, he is not my child. So on. So there's a difference between the saying that she has fornicated and negating the child. Because if accusing a person of fornication doesn't mean that that child is not his. Because not every intercourse comes with a child. A child, and a woman doesn't get pregnant after every intercourse. It may and it may not. Or, wal'iyadu billah, she could be a few months pregnant already. Mathalan, few months pregnant already. And then he catches her doing the evil act, wal'iyadu billah. Then he does the mula'ana. The child is who? It's his. It's his. So unless he does mula'ana of the child and he says that that child is not my child, then the child is not included in the li'an. The child is not included in the li'an. Right. So that is the dangers of li'an, whereby it is actually worse than li'an, worse than talaq, because they can never go back to one another. And then the Shaykh says, Wallahu a'lam, Wallahu a'lam. طيب, obviously with regards to that last mas'ala, إذا ذكر في اللعان, that is a mas'ala that is khilafiyya. That is mas'ala that is khilaf. Some of the scholars say لا, walad, if he does, the walad is always going to be his, because الولد للفراش وللعاهر الحجر. No, because obviously there's no connection between pregnancy and another sign of no, the mula'ana. لا, leave that to another time. If the child is negated and he says that is not my child, he doesn't take the name of the father. He doesn't take, obviously, the rulings pertaining to the relationship between him and the father. Mathalan, is not wajib for him. He doesn't provide for him. And he doesn't inherit him. And if it is a girl, then he is not her mahram, they say. To the extent that I believe it was the Shafi'i, they say that if it is a girl, he can marry her because it's not his daughter. Now that was with zina, afwan. That is with zina. That is with zina, afwan. طيب, so that is al-li'an. So we've studied al-ila wa al-dhihar and طيب. Let's move on. Kitab al-idadi wal-istibra. Kitab al-idadi wal-istibra. The Shaykh is now going into a mas'ala which is called, he's now going to be talking about the waiting period. A waiting period, it varies from woman to woman. Right? For example, the woman that is divorced, talaq raj'i, her iddah is different. A woman whose husband dies, the widow, her iddah is different. The woman who cannot see hayd, who does not get hayd in the first place due to old age, or not getting hayd in the first place, then her iddah is also different. The servant girl, her iddah is different. That is what the Shaykh is going to be talking about now. The Shaykh says, rahimahullah, the iddah, the waiting period means تربص من فارقها زوجها بموت أو طلاق. It is the waiting period for the woman. It is the time that the woman waits, whose husband has separated from her. بموت, whether it's with death, أو طلاق, or whether it is with talaq, by way of divorce. فالمفارقة بالموت إذا مات عنها. نعم. Now he's going to, so that was the definition. So where it says al-iddatu, you can put number 1, or we'll just put a line across it. So that's the definition of the iddah, the waiting period. The waiting period that the wife or the woman whose husband either divorces her or he passes away, the period of time that she waits. فالمفارقة بالموت, as for the مفارقة, the one that has been separated due to death, إذا مات عنها زوجها, if her husband dies, تعتد على كل حال, in every instance she has to wait. She has to have عدة in every instance. فإن كانت حاملة, so her عدة, the woman whose husband dies away, is 4 months and 10 days. 4 months and 10 days. قال تعالى والذين يتوفون منكم ويذرون أزواجا يتربصن بأنفسهن 4 أشهر و10. طيب. So Allah Jalla wa Ala says, those whose husbands pass away, ويذرون أزواجا يتربصن بأنفسهن, they wait with themselves, يعني they wait 4 أشهر و10, 4 months and 10 days. What is the iddah of the woman whose husband passes away? 4 months and 10 days. طيب. Then the Shaykh says, فإن كانت حاملا, however, if she's pregnant, if who is pregnant? The one whose husband has passed away. Excellent. فعدتها وضعها جميع ما في بطنها لقوله تعالى. If, as for the one whose husband passes away and she's pregnant, then her iddah is until she gives birth to whatever or everything that is in her womb. Meaning even if she has twins. So if she has twins, the first child is born, her iddah doesn't end. When does it end? طيب. When the second child is born. جميع ما في بطن لقوله تعالى, due to the verse of Allah جل وعلا, وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن. As for those that are pregnant, then their ajal or their waiting period is until they put down or they give birth to whatever they are carrying. وهذا عام في المفارقة بموت أو حياة. And the Shaykh says that is general with regards to the one whose husband divorces her and she is pregnant, or the one whose husband dies and she's pregnant. So let's not confuse one another. The first iddah that we mentioned was who? The one whose husband dies. What is her waiting period? 4 months and 10 days. طيب. The second one is the one who dies, the one who dies whilst, or the one whose husband dies while she's pregnant. Her waiting period is what? When she gives birth. So take it as a qaida. The second one, any woman who is pregnant and her husband dies or she is divorced, then her waiting period is until she gives birth. So the woman who's pregnant, her waiting period is until she gives birth. And that is general. Whether her husband dies or whether her husband is alive, like, and he divorces her. Mathalan, for example, let's say she's in the 9th month. She's about to give birth any minute now. He divorces her today, and she's in her last stages of her pregnancy. He divorces her today, and she gives birth on Tuesday. When does her iddah end? Tuesday. Her iddah ends on Tuesday. So she only had to wait what? 3 days or so, 2 days. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, khalas. However, on the opposite goes. What if she finds out she's pregnant after the 2nd month? She misses her first haid, and the second, about a month and a half into it, she realizes she's what? Pregnant. And her husband dies. Or her husband divorces her. Her iddah is how many months? 7 months plus. So however long it takes or however short it is, her waiting period is until she gives birth. طيب. إن لم تكن حاملة. طيب, where was I? طيب. إن لم تكن حاملة وهذا عام. طيب. So we've studied 2 so far. وإن لم تكن حاملة فعدتها 4 أشهر و10 أيام. طيب. If she's not pregnant, then her waiting period is what? 4 months and 10 days. طيب. طيب. أن تكون حامل فعدتها 4 أشهر. طيب. So that is the one that is pregnant and the one that is whose husband dies away but she is not pregnant. طيب. ويلزم, and it is wajib upon her في مدة هذه العدة أن تحد المرأة. Okay. The Shaykh is now talking about a mas'ala which is called al-ihdad. And why is he mentioning ihdad now? Because ihdad is specific to the woman whose husband passes away. And ihdad literally means that she stays away from any sort of beautification, whether with regards to her clothing or with regards to her body. Al-ihdad means that a woman stays away from any form of beautification with regards to her body or her clothing after her husband passes away. And that's a right of the husband, and to show gratitude to the husband. So that is what ihdad means. The Shaykh says rahimahullah, نعم تحد is wajib for her to do the ihdad بأن تترك الزينة, that she leaves off zina. She leaves off every form of beautification, والطيب and perfume, والحلي and gold and things that can beautify her, والتحسين أو والتحسين تترك يعني والتحسين بحناء, and to leave off حناء or henna. Henna is called, نعم, henna, the sort of beautification that they put on their hands. Any sort of beautification, the Shaykh says it is impermissible, whether it's perfume, whether it's gold, whether it's to do with her clothing or her body. Like وَنَحْوِهِ, and anything that is similar to it. Any form of beautification, it is haram for her to do during this time. Like, it's permissible for her to bath as normal, and so obviously she has to when her haid ends anyway. Like, it is permissible for her to do perform her ghusl as normal, and if she's using shampoo or soap, it has to be that which hasn't got any perfume, not a scent. Every sort of shampoo or soap has scent. That is not what is being referred to. Like, the one that she has to avoid is that which has musk or perfume. That is what is not permissible for her to do. Also, any gold that she's got on, she has to take off. Any.
We said the height for that is
deliberately fragrancing. How can a person fragrance? Say soap. She should avoid soap that contains perfume and shampoos that contain perfume. Like, if she buys shampoo and she doesn't realize that it has perfume, then khalas, she's not blameworthy. Like, what was I saying before you cut me off? Jewelry, gold, beautification. Huh? No, something else. Like, any sort of beautification, it is not permissible for her to put on. There are no specific clothes that she has to put on. There are no specific clothes that she has to put on. Right. Then the Shaykh says, rahimahullah, وَأَن تَلْزَمَ بَيْتَهَا, and she has to remain in her house, الَّذِي مَاتَ زَوْجُهَا وَهِيَ فِيهِ. وَأَن تَلْزَمَ, that she has to stay in the house. In the house. الَّذِي مَاتَ زَوْجُهَا, that her husband died while she was in. So she has to be in the house that she was in when her husband died. Who can explain this part? She has to remain in the home that she was in when her husband died. She has to remain and stay in the house, and she can't leave the house that she was in when her husband died. Nah, she has to stay in the place. So the Prophet says she has to stay in. It means that she has to stay in the place that she finds out that her husband, rahimahullah, died.
Like a place of residence when they were married.
Her place of residence.
Yeah. Like, she lived with him. Yeah.
He could own more than one house, perhaps.
Adam.
My family passed away. They were on a holiday, or they went back home. Mom had to go over there and bring them back within the time.
Shuf, we haven't even established it first. Put the question to one side. Hey, don't jump the gun. The meaning of it is, as you brothers mentioned, minus the house that she resides in when her husband normally resides in, and her husband dies while she's resided in that property, that is the one that she comes back to, and that is one she stays. She could be visiting her friend, so it doesn't mean she has to stay with her friend for 4 months and 10 days. Right. However, there's something that I want to point out. The wording of what the brother is saying is correct. Based on the wording, what the brother said is correct. However, it is not correct in terms of the hukum, the ruling. Why? Because this is the language of the fuqaha. And when a person reads one book or two books or three books, you will understand what they mean by it. So they may mean a certain word, but they mean by it something else. Or a certain sentence, it could mean this, like in what they actually mean by it is that. So that is the meaning. The house that she lives in when her husband dies. Whether it's rented, whether it's their property and so on. طيب. نعم. فلا تخرج منه إلا لحاجتها نهارا. She doesn't leave the house except for her haja, her need in the daytime. Naam. That is the next mas'ala. When is she allowed to leave that house? The Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi mentions that she's allowed to leave in the daytime if there's a haja. If there is a haja. So the Shaykh is now telling us there are two different things. There's a haja, there's a need. If there's a haja and there's a need, she can leave in the daytime, but at night time she must be in the house. And they take from that the hadith of the female companion that asked the Prophet ﷺ what she should do because her husband, Furay'a, I think her name was, she came to ask the Prophet ﷺ what she should do because her husband had died. And then he told her what to do, and that she should stay and do ihdad for 4 months and 10 days and so on. So she came to the Prophet ﷺ. The scholars take from that her coming to the Prophet was a haja, it was a need. So anything to do with a haja, for example, she goes to work in the daytime. Or she needs to go visit someone who's dying, her parents who are dying, for example, a parent who's dying. That's a haja. So she's excused. Like in the Shaykh says naharan, during the daytime. Like there's also something else with regards to a darura, something which is a dire necessity. And there's a difference between the darura and the haja. Which is higher? The darura. The darura is that which is life or death. So with regards to the darura, she can leave night or day. Let's say she cuts herself in the middle of the night. She can't say, I need to wait till the morning, till the sun comes out to go to the hospital. That is a darura, she can leave immediately. Or if the house is burning, she can't say, it's not a hajj, I need to wait. That is actually a darura, not a hajj, she leaves the house. Right? So for the darura, she can leave nighttime or daytime. In the daytime, like she can leave only for hajj. What would come under a hajj? A hajj is, for example, if she's been there for about a month or two and she needs to get a breather and she needs to go talk to people and so on and so forth, so she doesn't go crazy or she doesn't get depression and stress and so on, she's allowed to go to a friend's house. During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there were shuhada that passed away, rahmatullahi wa radiallahu anhum, and the women complained, I think it was Ibn Mas'ud they complained to, that they said that we're finding a bit of depression among ourselves, so he allowed them to go to one another in the daytime. He allowed them to go to one another in the daytime. Like for darura, it's for nighttime and daytime. For hajj is daytime. Like with regards to the waiting period, with regards to the death, what happens? When does the time start from? Think back to the masala that we studied in Kitab al-Fara'id. With regards to the death, what time can it start from? Naam. So there's two ways. Either we actually know that person has passed away. She can see him in the hospital. The life support machine has been taken off. Or there's a car crash and she can see, everyone can see that there's a car crash. Or a person is lost and we can't find him. Like after about 5-6 months or after a certain period of time, he's considered officially dead in the mahkamah. Is that understood? So there's two ways. Right. How about if a person goes missing? A person goes missing. And then 6 months later, someone comes to us and says, he says to her, your husband died 6 months ago. We're in July, مثلا. She says to her, listen, your husband died in December in a car crash that took place on XYZ motorway and so on. So he died 6 months ago. When does her iddah start from? When she found out. So it starts from July. صح؟ خطأ. لا, it doesn't start from July. It starts from when he actually died. So how long does she have to wait now? If he died 6 months ago and it started from the time that he died, when does she have, how much longer does she wait? Nothing, because 4 months, 10 days have already gone past. Even if she didn't hold on to the ahkam, even if she didn't do the ihdad, that time it has gone. And now we know that he died 5-6 months ago. 5 months ago, then the ihdad is for 4 months. طيب. Then the Shaykh says, وَأَمَّا الْمُفَارَقَةُ فِي حَالِ الْحَيَاةِ. Now he's talking about the third type. What was the first type of iddah? Maut, the one that died, who is not pregnant. The second was the one whose husband died, that she was pregnant. And then the Shaykh says, وَالْمُفَارَقَةُ فِي حَالِ الْحَيَاةِ. طيب. So now this next mas'ala is now 6:59, and we've got quite a bit until we finish the actual book, or Kitab al-Iddah. So we'll stop there, inshallah. We can leave the rest of the time, if there's any time, for questions. We'll continue the Iddad next lesson, inshallah. So from now on, what I want to do is, I want to go quite less explanation and just move quite quickly, so that we finish the book by maybe June, July, no, about July. About July. We've been on this book for too long. So inshallah, I want to finish by maybe July.
وقل رب زدني